webinar. Today with us we have Dr. Amrut Arun Swami. He is MBBS from Grand Government Medical College and Sir JJ Group of Hospital, Mumbai. MD from Topiwala National Medical College, Mumbai. Cleared DNB from National Board, Delhi. Currently, he is working as assistant professor at Dr. Vittal Rao V.K. Patil Foundation's Medical College, Ahmednagar, Maharashtra. He has published various articles in the field of medical science in various national and international research journals. He's active, very much active in medical science research, and he take up projects with WHO and other Maharashtra government board research institutions. Today he is going to talk about the world and pandemic. So we are hearing this word pandemic since few months. So I think we were not aware of what is pandemic is all about. Right? This is a new word. Quarantine is a new word. Social distancing is a new word which we have come across from past 2-3 months. So today, Dr. Amrut is going to address about what is pandemic, how it has the word pandemic, and how world has seen the various pandemics rather than the COVID-19, and how the changes it made to the world in the field of medical science. I welcome Dr. Amrit to the session, and over to Amrit. You can start.
Yes, thank you, Pallavi madam. Thank you, Guru Prasad sir. First of all, I thank the Government Institute for inviting me to this 5 days webinar. And I guess this is the last session in the 5 days webinar. So I will not bore you much. Good afternoon, everyone. Let's start with the today's topic, that is world and pandemics. Okay. See, so there are various terms first which you all should know. So these terms are outbreaks, epidemics, and pandemics. Okay. So let's go through these terms. What is a disease outbreak? A disease outbreak is the occurrence of disease cases in excess of normal expectancy. The number of cases varies according to the disease causing agent and the size and type of previous and existing exposure to the agent. Okay. So agent, what is agent? Agent is the virus or bacteria or the infective material which causes the disease. Okay. And outbreak is a very small localized disease outbreak or the number of cases of disease. Okay. Say for example, if 50 students, they have gone to a hotel for a party, dinner party. Okay. They have taken their dinner from a hotel. Okay. In near to your college. And the next day, 30 out of those 50 students, they have stomach ache, vomiting, and the signs and symptoms of gastroenteritis. Okay. So this is the outbreak of gastroenteritis in a government college amongst those students who have gone to a particular hotel last night for having dinner. Okay. So this is nothing but a disease outbreak. Okay. There can be outbreaks of malaria or dengue in various seasons in various cities. Okay. So these are specifically localized disease outbreaks of infectious diseases. Okay. Now, what are epidemics and pandemics? Okay. The epidemic term is taken from the Greek word epi, which means upon or above, and demos means people. Okay. So above people or upon people, the disease which have been uh, affecting them. The disease to a large people in a given population within a short period of time. Okay. So what happens is a particular particular geographical area, it faces a particular new type of infection. Okay. Or an infection which was already there, but the number of cases are more than what were the usual number of cases. Okay. So when do we say that there is an epidemic of any particular disease? Say for example, dengue. Okay, so every year, say Bangalore is facing around 1,000 cases of dengue per year on an average. Okay, if we take last 5 years cases in Bangalore of number of dengue cases throughout the year, there are around 1,000 cases per year. Okay, and say in 2020, in the monsoon of 2020, there are suddenly 2,000 cases. Okay, so that means uh, uh, from the previous data, previous last 5 years, there were only 1,000 dengue cases, and now suddenly the number has doubled. Okay, so that is the two times the previous 5 years average cases. So we can say that there is an epidemic of dengue in the Bangalore city. Okay, so epidemic is the rapid spread of disease to large number of people in a given population within a short period of time. Okay, now pandemic and epidemic, they are quite similar in their definition. Only the difference is the pandemic, it involves major portion of the whole world. Okay, so again taken from the Greek nomenclature. Greek pan means all, and demos again means people. So all people are affected by the infection. The pandemic is nothing but an epidemic of an infectious disease that has spread across a large region, for instance, multiple continents or even the whole world, affecting a substantial number of people. Widespread epidemic disease with a stable number of infected people is not a pandemic. Okay. Widespread endemic diseases with a stable number of infected people, such as recurrences of seasonal influenza, are generally excluded as they occur simultaneously in large regions. Okay. So what does these exclusions mean? That means a stable number of infected people is not a pandemic. The number of cases of any particular disease, say for example, tuberculosis, the number of even if it is widespread, even if tuberculosis can be found in all over the world, we don't say a pandemic of tuberculosis because there are fixed number of cases in all the countries for throughout the year. Okay, as soon as the number of cases it goes beyond the expected number, then we say that it is an pandemic, and it should cover major countries, major continents, or major populations of the world. Okay, yes. So some basics of diseases. What are communicable diseases and non-communicable diseases, or they are also known as infectious diseases and non-infectious diseases. Okay, so this is very important. Communicable diseases or infectious diseases are diseases which are caused due to microorganisms. They may be viruses, bacteria, or parasites. And as the name suggests, communicable or infectious. That means a person or an infected vector, mosquito or flies, they can spread the disease from one place to another place, or from one person to another person. For example, dengue. If a person is having dengue in a house, a mosquito can bite that person, and when the mosquito has sucked the blood from that person, the dengue viruses, they infect the mosquito. Okay, so the dengue viruses are all over inside the body of the mosquito. From the stomach of the mosquito, they travel to the salivary glands. Okay, and whenever that mosquito it bites another person who is healthy, who is not having dengue, that mosquito, after biting the another person, it transmits the disease, the dengue viruses, to that person. Okay, so this is how dengue spreads from one affected person to another healthy person. Okay, there are many other diseases which transmit directly from person to person by aerosols, or by coughing and sneezing, or by direct contact. Okay, for example, we all know that coronavirus disease or COVID-19 is transmitted through coughing and sneezing. Okay, so the viruses, they are present in the nasopharyngeal secretions, or in the cough and sneeze, and in the mucus secretions of our pharynx, or nose and mouth. And whenever a person coughs or sneezes or even talks, then these viruses, they can travel from one person to the nearby adjoining area, or in the room in which the person is sitting, or in the bus or in the car that person is traveling. Okay, and whenever another person comes in contact with those viruses in the air, that person gets infected. So this is how the communicable or infectious diseases spread. Now, what are the non-communicable diseases or non-infectious diseases? These are the diseases which cannot spread from one person to another person. For example, diabetes. Okay, if a person is having diabetes, and if you sit with him, if you talk to him, diabetes will not be spread from that person to us. Okay, so these are the non-communicable diseases. Okay, yes. So communicable diseases or infectious diseases, uh, they have the major possibility to get transmitted or to get converted into outbreaks, epidemics, and pandemics. Now, what is epidemiological triad? Okay, this is very basic concept in the causation of disease. As the name suggests, it is a triad. It has got three things: environment, agent, and host. Okay, so environment, first we'll come to the host. Host are the person or the susceptible people who will get affected by a particular disease. Okay, and now epidemiological triad, we are talking about pandemics or infectious diseases. Okay, when we are talking about the infectious diseases, and when we want to talk about epidemiological triad, say for example, malaria. Okay, so who are the host? Host are all the people living in a malaria susceptible area. Okay, uh, what is the agent? Now, agent in case of malaria will be the malarial parasite, the malarial microorganism which causes the disease. Okay, malaria. And now, what is the environment? Environment is each and everything instead of agent and host, which creates a uh, favorable environment for the agent to infect the host. Okay, so the environmental conditions which are favorable for transmission of malaria are first mosquitoes. Okay, and everything that favors the mosquitoes. So that is the temperatures in between the 23 to 30 degrees Celsius, then collection of water, artificial and natural collections of water, rainy season or post rainy season, and then overcrowding, and then people not using mosquito nets or mosquito bite prevention measures. Okay, so these are all favorable environment. Okay, so what happens? The disease malaria happens when agent in favorable environment, it affects the host. Okay, so that means the agent malarial parasite, it comes in contact with the host or with the susceptible person. Okay, now favorable environment are first mosquitoes and then the mosquito breeding places. Okay, so when there are mosquito breeding places, mosquitoes will grow over there, and one of the mosquitoes, the species is Anopheles mosquito, which transmits the malarial disease, and females of the Anopheles mosquitoes, the female mosquitoes only, they will transmit the disease. Okay, the female mosquitoes, they will bite one person who is having malaria. The source of infection is a person who is having malaria. Okay, the person who is having malaria, the mosquito will bite that person and will again go and bite another susceptible person. Okay, this is how the mosquito, the malaria will spread. Okay, now if we want to talk about coronavirus disease, or if you want to talk about the influenza or tuberculosis, all of these three diseases, they spread through respiratory route. Okay, they spread through the cough, sneeze, and even while talking, the aerosols which are produced in the environment. Okay, so in these cases, the agents will be the tuberculous bacilli, the coronavirus, or the influenza virus or the flu virus. Okay, so these are all the agents. The host are always the susceptible human beings, uh, which don't have the disease, but which, if they come in contact with the agents in favorable environment, might contract the disease. Okay, and the favorable environment for all the diseases which are transmitted through respiratory tract, the environments, they are close contact of people, overcrowding, and rapid spread of people from one place to another place. Okay, for example, international travel. So we have seen how the disease has spread from the China to all over the world, to India and to Western countries. Okay, so that means a host who was sitting in India, a person who was sitting in India, he got infected from a virus, COVID-19 virus, which has been developed in China, or which has occurred in China through the favorable environment. Okay, what was the favorable environment? The favorable environment was availability of rapid international travel. Okay, so what happened is the agent which had an outbreak in China, it spread through this environment, through the airports, through the aeroplanes from China to all over the world, and infected the susceptible hosts all over the world. Okay, so this is the epidemiological triad, and this is very important that you should remember. Okay, yes. Now coming to the history of pandemics, the world has seen many pandemics. If you ask your elders, your grandmothers, grandfathers, that were there any diseases, were there any outbreaks like this in your area? Okay, my grandmother always tells a story of plague when they had to move away from their houses. They had to shift towards long hills, and they have to stay over the hills in tents for months together till the outbreak was over. Okay, so this was the plague outbreak. What happened is the plague, it spreads through the rats and rat droppings. Okay, there is a small insect which feeds on the rats, and that insect, when comes and bites the human beings, the spreads the plague bacilli. Okay, so to stay away from the rats, they left all their homes, they left all their cities, and went away into the hills, and resided over there for 2 3 months till the outbreak is over. Okay, so there are many histories of these outbreaks. Previously, we had smallpox. Okay, many of our uncles and fathers who are more than 40 or 50 years of age, if you see their left arm, you will see three scar marks over here. One, two, three. Okay, so these are the scar marks of smallpox vaccine. Okay, so because of that vaccine, now we don't see any smallpox cases. Smallpox is eradicated now. There is no smallpox. So the younger generations, they don't receive the vaccine because the disease is now eradicated. That means it is removed from the root. Okay. So now coming to the history of pandemics. So there was this plague of Athens before Christ times, 430 to 426 BCE. So these are the documented pandemic cases. During the Peloponnesian War, typhoid fever, it killed a quarter of the Athenian troops and a quarter of the population. Okay, so the typhoid fever was the cause of plague of Athens. The plague in these instances is termed use similar to the pandemic. Okay, so the pandemic of Athens was the causative organism was typhoid. The disease fatally weakened the dominance of Athens, but the sheer virulence of the disease prevented its wider spread. Okay, the in Athens, the people, the army, it was affected by typhoid. Typhoid disease, it affects mostly the gastrointestinal system. There is a high fever, vomiting, diarrhea, and the fever is rising fever. The temperatures are always rising, and at that time there was no any availability of diagnosis of typhoid, or there were no any treatment modalities, antibiotics available, or people that time they didn't know how did the disease spread. It spreads through the fecal-oral route, that means the food and water which is infected by the feces of the infected person, that spreads the typhoid bacteria. Okay. And but this typhoid outbreak from the Athens, it did not spread because it killed almost all of the people who have had been affected by typhoid. Okay. The killing rate was faster than they could spread it. Okay. So that means those people who were affected by typhoid, before they went to their homes and before they could spread it to other people, they died because of typhoid. The exact cause of this pandemic was unknown for many years till January 2006, when they analyzed the teeth recovered from a mass grave underneath the city of Athens and confirmed the presence of bacteria typhoid, which was responsible for the pandemic in those times. Okay, so this is around 2500 years from now. Okay, so 430 BC, that means 2500 years from now, there was this outbreak of typhoid. Okay, yes. So this is a painting which was done in 18th century, the Battle of Potida, Athenians against the Crotonians, and the scene of Socrates. Okay. Yes. Now, some 165 AD, that means some 1900 years ago, there was a Antonine plague in 165 AD. Okay, it killed almost 5 million, that is 50 lakhs people. The cause was unknown at that time. It affected Asia Minor, Egypt, Greece, and Italy, and the cause is still unknown. But there have been reported that in those times, they have written down that in 165 AD there was this large pandemic, and it has spread a disease which would end up killing almost 50 lakh people and decimating the Roman army. Okay, so it affected the Roman army. So this also, the previous pandemic also affected the Athens war. Okay, so only during these wars, the pandemics which happened, they were reported and they were written down and they were passed in the history. Okay, there might have been many pandemics in those years or long before these years, which were not penned down, or which we don't know because there is no any mention of these in history. Okay. After 100 years of the previous outbreak, there was a plague of Saprine in 251 to 66 AD. Second outbreak of what may have been the same disease at the Antonine plague. It was said 5,000 people in Rome were killed in a single day. Now, 541 to 750 AD, plague of Justinian, the first recorded outbreak of bubonic plague. Okay, so the bubonic plague is the real plague, which we say that it is a plague, started in Egypt and reached the Constantinople in the following spring. It killed almost 10,000 people a day at its height, and it perhaps killed almost 40% of the city's inhabitants. The plague went to eliminate a quarter half of the human population of the known world, and it caused Europe's population to drop by around 50% between 550 and 700 AD. Okay, yes. So this 550 and 700 AD, the Europe and the Western countries, they were not very much into the hygiene. Okay, and after these plagues and after these pandemics and outbreaks, they came to know the importance of hygiene. They came to know the importance of keeping the cities and areas and houses clean, and they came to know about the importance of sewerage system or the sewage. The wastewater from the houses, it should be enclosed and it should be drawn out of the city into a safe disposal area. Okay, so that's when they devised the sewerage system, and these diseases, the plague and typhoid and cholera, the food and waterborne diseases, or the diseases which are spread through the fecal-oral route, they reduced. Okay, so this is a plague of Justinian. The Saint Sebastian pleads with Jesus for the life of Gravedigger afflicted by the plague. Uh, this was a painting which was done by Jose Leferent in 1497 to 1499. Then there was the Black Death of 1346 to 1353. The death toll was 75 to 200 million, and the cause was bubonic plague. The outbreak of plague ravaged Europe, Africa, and Asia with an estimated death toll between 75 and 200 million people. Though thought to have originated in Asia, the plague most likely jumped continents via the fleas. So these are the fleas. These are living on rat, also known as rat flea, and they are the insects which transmit the plague from rats to the humans. uh, Frequently lived abroad merchant ships. Ports being major urban centers at the time were the perfect breeding ground for the rats and fleas, and thus the insidious bacterium flourished, devastating three continents in its week. Okay, yes. So this was the area, this was the era 1346 and 1355, 1353. These years they have seen the outbreak of plague. Okay, and some of the European countries and some of the European ports, they have devised what was known as quarantine. Okay, so this is the 14th century and 15th century. The outbreaks and the pandemics in these centuries, they were the reason behind the concept of quarantine. Okay, so now what is quarantine? Though the concepts of disease causation, the concepts of how the diseases are spread, the concepts of viruses, bacteria, and how the infection spread from one person to another person, and even the microscope, the discovery of microscope was yet to occur in these times in the 14th century. The people, they observed that those people who are coming from the other cities and other countries or other continents through the ships at these port places, if they are kept in a enclosed place or kept separate for a period of 15 days or for 1 month, some of them, they developed the signs and symptoms of plague or signs and symptoms of disease. Okay, and that prevented the locals from that port city to get affected from those who have shown the signs and symptoms of the disease. Okay, so this is where the concept of quarantine came into. Okay, what they used to do in this 14th and 15th century, they used to keep people for 14 days to 1 month, for 15 days to 1 month, uh, separate, and they didn't allow them or their goods to get entry into the cities. Okay, and this is how the concept of quarantine came into picture. Okay, but at at those times there were no any guidelines or no any unity between all the cities or all the countries, so everyone was following their own quarantine measures or everyone was following their own quarantine agendas. Okay, and most importantly, at those times we didn't know what exactly caused these diseases or what exactly caused the plague or how exactly did it spread. Okay, the previously how the infections occurred, people, they had many beliefs. Okay, some people, they used to believe that these diseases are due to our past sins, or in India, where we have had the concept of past life. They used to think that the diseases, these are the sins from the past life. Even if a person is doing very well in this life or behaving very well in this life, in past life the person might have done some wrongs, and now the person is affected from this particular disease. Okay, so these times they didn't know the causation of disease. Some people, they used to think that it is due to bad air. Okay, yes. So the triumph of death, the social upheaval and terror that followed plague, which devastated medieval Europe. Okay, so these are the paintings which you can see that all the horses, animals, and all the people, they have died, and cities, they have been abandoned. Okay, yes. Now, 19th century, in 5th and 6th decade, uh, there was a third cholera pandemic. Okay, previous two cholera pandemics were there all over world, which were milder, but this third cholera pandemic, it killed around 10 lakh people, uh, considered the most deadly of the seven cholera pandemics. Third major outbreak of cholera in this era. Like the first and second pandemic, third cholera pandemic originated in India, spreading from the Ganges River Delta before tearing through Asia, Europe, North America, and Africa, and ending the lives of over a million people or 10 lakh people. The British physician John Snow, while working in a poor area of London, he tracked the cases of cholera and eventually succeeded in identifying contaminated water as the means of transmission of the disease. Okay, so the John Snow is known as the father of public health, and this discovery of cholera is the main reason why the 19th century people, they understood how the cholera spread. Okay, previous to this discovery, there were many theories. Okay, like past sins, or like wrongdoings, or like bad air which might be causing the cholera. But John Snow, he observed that there was a hand pump in the London. Okay, and there were cluster of cases. The houses or the people who were drinking water from that particular hand pump, they were affected by cholera, and there were two or three clusters like this uh, nearby the city of London. Okay, so what he did is he conducted this public health experiment where he asked people to stop using water from those hand pumps near which there were cases of cholera. Okay, and surprisingly, it was observed that no many new cases of cholera were seen. Okay, and that's how he established that cholera is not spread through the bad air, or is not spread through uh, any other wrongdoings or nothing like that. Cholera is basically spread through the water, and he proved that. Okay. Yes, the same year as his discovery, 1854 went down as the worst year of the pandemic, in which almost 20,000 people had died in the Great Britain. Yes. Then there were flu pandemics. Okay, so as soon as there was this discovery of water being the major reason of cholera pandemic, people, they were very much careful. Okay, so they invented methods of purification of water. They invented sand filter, slow sand filter, and rapid sand filter, and they invented the simple method of boiling the water before consuming it. Okay, yes, but the major reason, or the major causes of pandemics after 19th century, that means after this 1880 or 1900, were the respiratory pathogens, and most importantly viruses. Okay, the pandemics in previous to these, which were plague, cholera, and typhoid, these were all bacterial causes. Okay, but these bacterial causes in 19th century, they were discovered, and they discovered antibiotics. The penicillin was discovered, and the plague and cholera and typhoid, it was treatable. Okay, so till 19th century, people died because of these bacterial diseases, and which were controlled after 19th century because of the discovery of, first thing, the causes of the diseases, second thing microscope, third thing the bacteria, the infectious material. They investigated, they diagnosed that these bacteria, they are causing these pandemics. They invented antibiotics which worked wonderfully. The people who used to die like mosquitoes or like flies because of plague, now were easily treated from the antibiotics. Okay, even the diseases like leprosy, which deformed the hands and fingers and nose and faces, and eventually killed the people who have been affected by leprosy, were now treatable in the 19th century after 1950s or 1930s or 40s. Okay, but the major cause of pandemic in these two centuries, the 20th and now the 21, are the viruses. Okay, we'll come to why viruses are so much dangerous. First we'll study the pandemics. Now the flu pandemic. The death toll was again 10 lakhs. The cause was influenza. Originally the Asiatic flu or the Russian flu, as it was called, this strain was thought to be an outbreak of the influenza A virus subtype H2N2. Okay. H2N2, H1N1, H5N1. These are the various subtypes or names given to the influenza A viruses. Okay, I will not go into the detail of that. Just remember, these are the subtypes of these viruses. So this influenza flu pandemic, flu is nothing but the influenza. Okay, so we say that we have cough and cold, or we say we have flu. So that flu means nothing but this infectious influenza virus, which is always there in the community and which occurs in the season. Okay, so uh, what is the difference between the pandemic flu virus and the regular flu virus which is there in our community? Okay, see, what happens is every one of us has a cold at least once in a year. Okay, many people, they experience cold more than once, more than twice, or some of you might be experiencing cold almost every month. Okay, so what is this flu? Okay, this flu is nothing but the influenza virus, which is there already present in our community and which gets transmitted from one person to another person throughout the year. Okay, but we don't speak about it, but it is not such a major public health problem as this pandemic. So what is the difference? What happens is these flu viruses, they can, there is a cycle of these flu viruses which continues from human to animals, from animals to birds, from birds to other animals, and from animals to humans. Okay, this cycle is running throughout the year, throughout the world. Okay, so now what happens is whenever there is a small genetic change, then there occurs the small epidemics of less severity of these flu epidemics. Okay, the localized area which has affected, whenever there is a small genetic change, whenever the virus changes to a small extent, there is a small epidemic in the area. The people from the cities, some of them, they are affected by flu, small cold and cough, and they get treated by symptomatic treatment. Or even if we don't treat them, even if you don't take any medicines, the cold will eventually go after 3 days to 7 days. Okay, so these are the small genetic changes, which is known as genetic shift. Okay, now there is a genetic drift, which is sudden and major genetic change. Okay, whenever a flu virus, or whenever a influenza virus, or whenever any other virus like the coronavirus, it undergoes a large major change, and it affects, and it takes some genetic material from the animal flu virus, it takes some genetic material from the human flu virus, and a new very strong virus is formed, which has got the potential to affect major population, because many of them don't have immunity to this virus. Okay, so this was the first. This was the major flu pandemic, 1989 to 1890. Sorry, 1889 to 1890. Uh, the distant locations. The first cases were observed in 1889 in Central Asia, Canada, and Greenland. And rapid population growth of the 19th century, especially in urban areas, it helped the spread of flu. And before long, the outbreak had spread across the globe. So all over the world, it had spread. Though it was the first true pandemic in the era of bacteriology, and much was learned from it, in the end, 1889 to 1890 flu pandemic claimed the lives of over 10 lakh people, or 1 million people. Now, after almost 10 years of that flu pandemic, there was sixth cholera pandemic during 1910 to 1911. It caused almost 8 lakh plus deaths, like its previous five pandemics. The sixth cholera pandemic originated in India, where it killed over 8 lakh people before spreading to the Middle East, North Africa, Eastern Europe, and Russia. The sixth pandemic was also the source of the last outbreak in the Americas, and American health authorities, having learned from the past, quickly sought to isolate the infected, and in the end, only 11 deaths occurred in the US by 1923. By 1923, cholera cases had been cut down dramatically, although it was still a constant in India. Okay, so the Western countries, the Americas, the Europe, they learned from the previous cholera pandemics, the John Snow's discovery of water and food spreading the cholera. They gave them this idea how the cholera spread, and they acted upon it. They implicated strict public health policies. They implicated strict sewerage system. The waste water from the houses, it was distributed. It was carried through the closed sewerage system. Okay, and that's how they prevented the further pandemics of cholera. But in India, the Indian population, there were, in those times we had the British ruling. Okay, and the people of India, they were very poor. There was lots of social injustice, and the system, the civil system, or the sewerage system, or the homes and houses, they were not made much hygienic. Okay, and even the public health system or the health system in those areas, they were very less. Okay, so for people who were affected, the treatment was not available, the diagnosis was not done very much earlier. Okay, or the public health spread, like the cholera spreads through the water, and the small measures like boiling water and consuming the water, boiled water only, where these messages were not spread throughout the India, and we had major cholera outbreaks in the first few decades of the 20th century. Yes, then there was this Spanish flu 1918. Okay, yes. So this is how the flu pandemic, or this is what the public health specialists are comparing this current coronavirus pandemic to this flu pandemic, which was there 100 years back. Okay. Yes, the death toll was 20 to 50 million. That is 2 to 5 crores throughout the year. So these are almost documented deaths. Okay, so non-documented deaths might be even more. The cause was influenza or the flu virus. Between 1918 and 1920, a disturbingly deadly outbreak of influenza tore across the globe, infecting over a third of world's population and ending the lives of 20 to 50 million people. Okay, so that means almost one third of the people, they were infected from the disease. Okay, and it killed almost 2 to 5 crore people. Of the 500 million people infected in the 1918 pandemic, the mortality rate was estimated 10 to 20%, with up to 25 million deaths in the first 4 months alone. Okay, what separated the 1918 flu pandemic from other influenza outbreaks was the victims, where influenza had always previously only killed juveniles and elderly or already weakened patients. It had begun striking down hardy and completely healthy young adults, while leaving children and those with weaker immune system still alive. Okay, so all all people of all ages, they were affected from this flu pandemic in 1918, and also known as Spanish flu, and many people had died in this pandemic. Okay, yes. So this 1918 Spanish flu virus, what happened is, this influenza virus, it had been there in the pigs and in the humans. The pigs was causing the viruses in the pigs, it was causing classical swine flu, while the viruses in the humans, it caused modern human H1N1 virus. Okay, so this flu virus, what happens is, these viruses, um, these viruses which cause the pandemic, they take some of the genetic material from those viruses who usually affect the pigs, and those viruses who usually affect the humans, and this new refined virus, they affect the major population of the humans. Okay, yes. See, what is the basic concept in the development of new virus, or in development of the new novel viruses, is that The humans, there are many flu cases or there are many cold cases. Okay, this coronavirus also was there since long in the humans. Okay, the local outbreak of cough and cold, it might have been due to a influenza virus or a coronavirus or a rotavirus. Okay, or a rhinovirus. Okay, yes, but what happens is whenever there are pandemics, these this new virus, it gets developed from the interaction between the human and animal viruses. Okay, yes, so this is a picture from 1918 Spanish flu pandemic, which had caused dramatic mortality worldwide. Then there was this Asian flu in 1956. The death toll was 20 lakh. The cause was again influenza type H2N2, originated in China and lasted until 1958. Yes. Then all of us know the HIV and AIDS pandemic, which was at its peak 2005 to 2012. It has claimed till now almost 360 lakh lives, or 3.6 crore lives. The first identified Democratic Republic of Congo in 1976. It has truly proven itself a global pandemic, killing more than 360 lakh people, or 3.6 crore people, since 1981. Currently, there are between 31 and 35 million people living with HIV. The vast majority of those are in sub-Saharan Africa, where 5% of the population is infected. And as the awareness has grown, as we know that it is sexually transmitted diseases, people started to take precautions against it, and now the rapid spread of this HIV has been halted. Yes, the global cases between 2005 and 2012, the annual global deaths have been dropped from 2.2 million to 1.6 million. Okay, that is 22 lakhs to 16 lakhs per year. So that means today almost 15 to 16 lakh people, they die from the HIV/AIDS. Okay. Yes. So now the recent pandemics, we had a swine flu pandemic, H1N1 2009. Many of you must remember this 2009 outbreak, which was a decade back. Uh, so this is a world map where the India, Australia, most of the Americas and Africas, they show 50,000 plus confirmed cases of swine flu. Okay, rest of the countries were also affected, and this is how the swine flu pandemic from 2009 has affected the whole world. Uh, Lasted about almost 2 years, from January 2009 to August 2010. The second of the two pandemics involving H1N1 influenza virus uh, was 2009 swine flu. The first one of H1N1 virus was Spanish flu in 1918, which lasted about 15 months. It was first described in April 2009. The virus appeared to be a new strain of H1N1, which resulted from a previous triple reassortment of bird, swine, and human flu viruses. Okay, so this 2009 swine flu virus, it was uh, it was studied, and it was found out that it had genetic materials from three different species: from the birds, from the swine, those are the pigs, and from the human. Okay, so these three viruses, they combined together to form this 2009 swine flu virus. Now, what are the reasons behind this disease outbreak? uh, the Middle East respiratory syndrome, H1N1, the swine flu, all these three are influenza viruses. Then we had chikungunya virus outbreak, the Zika virus outbreak. The chikungunya and Zika viruses, they spread through mosquito bites. They seem to be all around the corner and threatening to become a pandemic. Okay, so all these viruses, even coronavirus, they are there throughout the world, everywhere. Okay, in local small infections, they occur, and the cycle of this virus, it continues in the environment, in the human beings, in the other animals, birds, pigs, or horses, and even livestock, or even the poultry. Okay, and these chikungunya, Zika, dengue, these viruses, they are transmitted from mosquitoes. These influenza viruses, coronaviruses, they are transmitted by aerosol through sneezing and coughing. Okay, so why the new viral infections are emerging? They emerge because of human activity that brings people into contact with wildlife, okay, such as road buildings, hunting, agricultural expansion, and about 70% of 75% of the emerging diseases in people, they come from animals. Yes. So these West Nile viruses, Ebola virus, Hantavirus, influenza virus, rabies virus, Rift Valley or Hendra viruses, all these viruses is due to the interaction of humans with the animals. Okay. Yes. The faster travel has changed the speed of spread of these diseases. Okay, a person who was yesterday in China has now gone to today has taken a flight and has gone to Europe in the London to attend a meeting, and after 2 days he has come back to India. Okay, so within a span of 1 week, a person can cover almost 3 continents and can spread from infection from one place to another place. Okay. Yes. Europe in the 1300s, a traveler can now bring a deadly strain of bird flu from China to Europe within 24 hours. Okay. Yes. Even the trade. Okay, so not only the human personal transfer, even the transfer of goods from one place to another place, it can bring some mosquitoes, or it can bring some infectious material through the goods or through the vectors which are there, or through the rats in the shipments, and these diseases can spread from one place to another place very uh, quickly. Now, the major challenge is the urbanization, or the slums, or the overcrowding in the urban. Okay. In India, we are observing large pandemics or the large number of cases of coronavirus disease in Mumbai, Pune, or in Delhi, in Kolkata, or in metro cities. Okay. So, what is the problem with these metro cities? Because they have very larger population. Okay, the background picture is from the Mumbai Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj terminal local train station. Okay, so uh, as many as 10 lakh people they travel daily through these local trains. Okay, and it is very crowded, and it is very likely that if one of them is infected can easily transmit the disease to other person. Okay, so more people in the cities, they can put a strain on the sanitation, and beyond people's close proximity, it is second source of infection. And the third is increased food demand, causing farmers to grow more food with more animals, making them likely to live closer to those animals as well. Okay. Yes. And mm, and people who now, due to the spread of viruses through the animals, the non-vegetarian people, they also are at risk to get infected by these viruses, and to spread these infections to even vegetarian and to even all other people. Okay, like the exotic food industry which they have in China, where they eat all kinds of animals. So that might have been the reason of this coronavirus outbreak, which was found in the city of Wuhan, very much near to the exotic animal meat market. Okay, yes. So the growing challenges with the urbanization, the rapid spread of these viruses, these infections is very easy. Encroaching into the new territories, into the new environments. So we as the population is growing, we have to shift from the areas to live into the forest. We have to cut down the trees, and we have to take in more areas into the cities. Okay. Yes, so population expand and into previously uninhabited territories such as forests, and with the new territories comes contact with new animals and inevitably new infections. Okay. The major problem is also global warming. Okay, when we think about health, experts say we need to start thinking about how environmental factors like climate change can matter as much as sometimes even more than our personal behavior. Okay, so all the activities, all the human activities, now we are causing more and more harm to the environment. Okay, many people, many governments, and many businessmen, they are making more money. They are into making more money. They are making into more technology. Okay, or even the public policies or even the government policies, they fail somewhere into creating a environmental friendly or eco-friendly infrastructure or eco-friendly businesses which can prevent the further destruction of environment. Okay, see what happens is, as I have talked about the environment and the epidemiological triad, agent, host, and environment. uh, as simple as zero point 0.5 degrees Celsius average rise in the global temperature will give the favorable environment for the growth of these mosquitoes or for the growth of the new viruses or bacteria in major population, major part of the world. Okay, that's why maintaining a good environment is very important to prevent the further outbreaks of these diseases. Yes. So this is how the evolution and the formation spread of the flu viruses or the other viruses can occur. So first there is fecal oral transmission in the aquatic birds. Then these birds, they come in contact with the poultry. These poultry or these hens and these poultry animals, they come in contact with the cats. Poultry animals come in contact with the pigs or with the humans. Then again there is a chain of transmission from the viruses from pigs to humans, humans to pigs, humans to poultries, poultry to horses, horses to dogs, dogs to humans. So there is always the cycle of these viruses transmitting from one species to another species is continuing, and which is causing the transfer of genetic material from one animal, one species to another species specific viruses, and causing new novel coronaviruses like viruses to occur. Okay, so when we take the example of Ebola spread, how it was spread, it was spread through the infected fruits, through unprotected sex, infected meat, infected material, stool and urine, direct contact, infected blood. Okay, so Ebola virus was very difficult to control in the South African countries, and many people have died from these Ebola epidemics in the South African country. Okay, so what are we missing? We are missing the knowledge regarding pathogen, the reservoir or source, the exit portal from the source of the infection, the route of transmission, the entry portal, and at end the susceptible host which gets the infection. Okay, so this is a chain of transmission, and we have to break this chain to prevent the further occurrence of these epidemics or the pandemics. Okay, first we need to learn about the pathogen. Whenever there is a new virus, there should be first uh, what exactly is causing the new epidemic or what exactly is causing the disease. Then we have to learn about how we can diagnose it. Then we have to learn about how we can control the source of infections, the reservoirs of the infections, how we can prevent the infection from the source to the next susceptible host. That is the third point, exit portal. Okay, so now what we have devised is the quarantine and compulsory use of mask from by the all the people. So the exit portal will be stopped from that. The route of transmission, we know the route of transmission of these viruses, these infections, and we can prevent the we can cut the link at this route of transmission, and we can prevent the susceptible host. Okay, yes. So considering the complex interactions among the ecological and social conditions, what and how we eat and use water, how we define waste, how we manage it, wilderness conservation, transportation, employment, meaningful life, research and action all together will further prevent the pandemics. In spite of many developments, in the past 2 decades, the infectious diseases has killed almost 1.5 crore people each year, that is 15 million people each year, and new and deadly diseases continue to emerge and re-emerge. The perpetual nature of the emergence of infectious diseases poses a continuing challenge, which is violation, which is volatile and ever changing. Okay, The problems with pandemics are clinicians, they have never managed cases, and the world and the peoples and government, they don't have any idea of how to manage such a condition. Okay, there are economic losses due to the lockdown periods, and how to deal with this condition, where to put this lockdown, where to put quarantine, and how much period the shops should be closed, how much period which shops should be open for how much period. All these policies need to be defined by government, and everything is new for all the clinicians, all the doctors, all the public health specialists, all the administrative people who are managing health and the countries together. Okay. Yes, I'll quickly go through the these last few slides. So viruses, they have smaller genome, and there are less opportunities to kill those viruses. That's why we are facing the difficulty to come up with the antiviral drug, specific drug which can kill the new coronavirus. Okay, although these are broad spectrum antibiotics, they only kill one specific, one or two types of viruses. So the previous antiviral drugs which we had might not be acting against the new viruses, and we have to then form new drugs and new quarantine laws, and ensure complete biosecurity to prevent further pandemics, and to contain or to control the pandemics easily. Now, re-emergence. So this re-emergence is again a problem. Many of the pathogens that spark deadly outbreaks are not new. Researchers have known about Zika since 1940s and Ebola since 1970s. Also, influenza viruses, coronaviruses, all these are there in the medical books. They teach the medical students about these viruses, but still, there are new epidemics and there are new pandemics every few years now and then. The World Health Organizations, it has identified four previous outbreaks: Ebola, Zika, swine flu, and other influenza viruses. Now, how do we cope with the epidemics, or how do we cope with the pandemics? The simple measures like washing hands with soap and water, avoiding travel, washing yeah, or taking the preventive measures, taking vaccines which are available for the epidemics and pandemics, and consulting doctors and clinicians or public health specialists for the specific interventions for the antibiotics, antivirals, and vaccines. Will the travel restrictions help? Yes, it will help, but it is very difficult to devise how many restrictions we can give for how much period, and complete shutdown of border may not be fully justified. Okay. Now, short information about WHO is a specialized non-political health agency in the United Nations. Headquarters at Geneva, was formed in 1948. The main objective is attainment by all people of the highest level of health. First constitutional function is to act as the directing and coordinating authority on all international health work, and specific responsibilities of establishing and promoting international standards in the field of health. Prevention and control of specific diseases is the main function, important activity of WHO. Epidemiological surveillance, that means whenever there is an outbreak in one country, say for example coronavirus outbreak in China, the WHO will take a note of that and will inform the whole world that we are facing a pandemic of the viruses. Now, what can we do about keeping ourselves safe from these epidemics and pandemics? We should keep ourselves updated, read about the news and the health news, or these epidemics and pandemics which are occurring in any country. We should follow guidelines. We should strictly follow whatever governments and public health authorities are telling us to do. We should stay safe. We should not go outside adventuring ourselves, even if people are asking us to stay inside home. And most importantly, we should cross check the social media news, many of them which are fake news. Okay. Yes. So that's all regarding the world and pandemics. Over to the host and over to the organizers of the session. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Amru. Now, I request participants to take up the questions. If you have any questions, you can directly ask. I'm unmuting all the participants, or you can post the questions in the chat room. Okay. Any questions?